Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here. And this, episode 6 of Agatha All Along, is quite the episode. Uh, as you remember in the last episode at the end, uh, Teen had manifested his magical powers he had, and threw Agatha, Jen, and Lillian into the mire off the trail of the road. And that Alice had inadvertently been drained, supposedly, of all of her magic and life by Agatha. Well, here we start 3 years ago, back when Teen is a young kid named Billy Capwell. He is attending his bar mitzvah. He, of course, lives in Eastview. Now, those who remember WandaVision, and the Eastview was outside the hex she had put up. So they were able to live normal lives, basically. And at the after bar mitzvah party, he visits the fortune teller that is there for entertainment, Lillian. And she looks at his palm and sees that his lifeline is broken in two. Not that it just ends like, a lifeline would if you're going to die young, but it's broken as if you're dying, and then it continues on as if you recovered, or as she puts it, you're going to go through a major change. Now, when he leaves, he forgets his coat, and Lillian takes out a little wooden block and she writes the sigil on it, or sigil, the one that covers his mouth, and she puts it in his coat, and then she forgets who he is, who's that coat, so she gives it to someone to give back to the person that had visited her. So eventually it does get back to Billy, and right then they all get a text alert. Something is happening with the dome, aka the hex, over Westview. So everybody's heading home just in case. I mean, it appears to be shrinking, but that could just be pulling back to then expand more. You don't know. Like waves do. Anyways, they're rapidly heading home when they are cut off by a pickup truck. And they crash. And Billy is really, really badly injured. And his heart stops. And then you hear this mysterious moaning. And suddenly his heart stops again. And he wakes up and yells out, "Tommy!" And now Teen is very different. Instead of being rather outgoing, he's rather withdrawn. But of course, after he's gotten out of the hospital, his parents just attribute this to recovering from the accident. He'll get back to normal or whatever, but they're not too worried. Concerned, but not too worried. And we learn he is very much into horror films, fantasy role play, like Dungeons and Dragons and things. The Wizard of Oz. He has like dioramas of the Wizard of Oz, and he also has no, that comes later. So we jump ahead to not quite yet where Agatha started, and we learn about his boyfriend, and they are very much in love, and his parents are okay with that. Good for them. And he almost forgot. The officer that attended the accident was Alice before she became a mall guard. So that's important. He's now met two of the witches. Only doesn't know it. He shows his boyfriend some videos of Jen, because he likes her homeopathic videos, and they kind of laugh about it. And then he shows her all the research he's been doing about Agatha Harkness and how she's been around. Or no, not yet. He shows him, videos about the whole Westview thing, and then he reveals that he has been in contact with this man who can tell them things about what happened the day the hex went down. He wants money, of course. And so his boyfriend decides, well, he's not going alone. This could be some nutcase who wants to do him harm. So they go to meet him. And who should it turn out to be? Ralph Boner! Good old Ralph. He's been through quite the ordeal the last 3 years. And he tells them, about the spell Wanda had put over the town, and about how Agatha took over his life. She's still living in his house, appreciating the value, and she just took everything from him. Well, who's Agatha? Agatha Harkness. And they have this great moment where Ralph says, so will that be cash? Or do you want me to perform my magic act for you? Kids and parties. Okay. Well, anyways, Billy goes home after his boyfriend drops him off. He doesn't have a car. And he starts doing research on this Agatha Harkness. And he actually finds references to her throughout the 20th century. Even finding a picture of her from the 20s and how she's always around when something bad happens, like the Titanic and the Hindenburg and things like that. Wars breaking out. So she's a bad influence. And but he cannot find reference to Agatha Harkness in Westview. But looking up Ralph Boner's old address, he does find a Agnes Boner living there. So he swipes his parents' car. I assume it's his parents' car. He gets a car somewhere. They don't explain. And drives to Eastview. He also happens to have this book. It's a book of spells. And he's looking up, to get rid of enchantments, you have to have a personal item belonging to that person. And so he sneaks up to the house, and he sees Agatha / Agnes talking to someone, but he can't see who that someone is. So he climbs up and gets into the Nicholas Scratch room. The attic, that was it. He gets in the attic and he finds the brooch. Remember the brooch from the first episode? But he knocks over a lamp, and he gets down and she starts chasing him. At which point, he almost gets hit by Sharon, who pops out and goes, "You hooligan!" And then Agatha tackles him. Now comes the interesting scene where we're seeing the interrogation from the first episode through his eyes. And what he's actually saying to her as opposed to what she thinks he was saying to her. And it's very interesting because some of it's the same, some of it isn't. But eventually, having hold of the brooch, he uses the spell he had looked up. And she gets very angry and ties him up and throws him in the closet. We then cut back to on the road, where Agatha is pulling herself out of the mire. She managed to grab onto a root and climbed up that way. And she's very impressed with the teen and asks him who he is. And he says, "I'm Billy Kaplan." "No." I'm Billy Markoff. I think that's, well, if it's not the correct, Maximoff, that's it. I'm Billy Maximoff.
That's right.
And they have a nice little chat where Agatha comes to realize Billy isn't on the road to get magic. He already has it. Although he can't seem to bring it up now unless he's like, or she puts it, oh, you can't use it unless you're having a temper tantrum like a child. But she also realizes it's not his mother he would be looking for. It's his twin brother, Tommy. He wants to reunite with him. So, with just the two of them, although he says, I don't need you anymore. No, don't be too sure. And so they, not side by side, but they both head off down the road in the same direction. Great episode. The explanation of everything going on with the teen, who's now we know is Billy, that's very close to the origin of Wiccan in the Marvel Comics. I think the revamped Marvel Comics that they did. But I'm really liked where you get to see everything from his perspective, especially like during the interrogation and the chase, where the things he's yelling back at her are not what she interpreted him as saying because she was in her true crime persona at that point. And very interesting, Lillian was the one who put the sigil on him, almost as if she saw what was coming and wanted to protect him from Agatha. But of course, once the sigil was in place, she would have no memory of it either. Kind of curious about next episode. I think it's the Wizard of Oz one. Oh, Billy also had, we see he had the album of Alicia's mother. So when he started learning all this stuff about Agatha online, he's hearing the Ballad of the Witch's Road, the rock version that they did an Alice's trial. So no trial this episode, but I do believe we should be coming up on Lillian's because that's supposed to be the Wizard of Oz one. And how she and Jen get out of the mire or get resurrected or whatever, no idea. So gotta look forward to that next week. Or, well, later on this week, considering when I'm getting this put out. But yeah, really good. Liked it a lot. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.